Hi. So this final part is about standards. Standards for information technology. So let's look at what a standard is. So a standard in computer science is a set of rules, conditions and guidelines that enable organizations to use combinations of hardware and software from different manufacturers, such that they can communicate together. So we need standards that define how to communicate, and then it doesn't matter where the software or hardware comes from. So for example, we have the real world data, we have an input device that puts data into the computer. So if we want to standardize that, for example, keyboards and digital cameras need to know how to communicate with computers. We don't want one digital camera brand to only be capable of communicating with one computer. We want to have any digital camera and input the data, the photos in this case, into any type of computer. So if we standardize the way that communication goes between the digital camera and the computer, we can use any digital camera with any computer. And the same evidently holds for keyboards. We don't want one specific keyboard for one specific computer. We want every keyboard to work with every computer. So for that we need to standardize and enable that different software and hardware from different manufacturers can communicate, can send and receive and interchange information. So there are standard organizations that take care of writing these standards. So the most important ones are here on the slide with their acronyms. So we have the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, IEEE this is called. We've got the International Standards Organization, ISO, and we've got the American National Standards Institute, which is ANSI. You might have seen them because they don't only make standards for computer science, they also make standards for electrical household machines, like for example your washing machine. So let's look at some standards specific for computer science, like for example for programming languages. If we program software, we do this in high-level programming languages that we've seen before, like C, C++, Java, ADA, Visual Basic or .NET. These are high-level programming languages that indicate how we want the processing of our data to occur. So these high-level programming languages, which are readable by humans, they need to be converted or compiled, it is called, to machine-readable language of computers. So obviously we need standards for that, because we want to have a high-level computer program and we want to compile this into code that can be executed by different computers, not only by one computer of one manufacturer. So we define a standard, and this means that software in different languages can be executed on different computers. There's also many standards for data. Alphanumerical data, there's for example the ASCII standard. This specifies an encoding for alphanumerical data. And there's other standards like Unicode or EBCDIC. There is standards for images, you might know them. There's JPEG, there's GIF, there's TIFF, there's all kinds of standards that we can use to communicate images. There's also standards for motion pictures, for videos, there's MPEG, there's QuickTime, there's standards for sound like WAV, and there's also standards for outline graphic fonts like PS and PDF. So these are all standards to format data in a way that we can interchange it between computers and between people and between software applications. There's also standards for communication protocols. Communication protocols define the order and format of data interchange. So for example, you might have heard of HTTP, the Hypertext Transfer Protocol. This is the protocol that makes you able to visualize a web page. And this is a protocol which is standardized, that just defines what are the steps and what is the format that we need to do if we want to see a website. So we have a server on the one hand and we have a client computer on the other. And we send, for example, a GET message that say, get this web page from the server. And then we post a message to the server saying, I want this web page to be visualized. And this is basically a standard protocol that every web client and every server respects in order to make you able to see web pages. There are similar protocols like that for example, file transfer. FTP, the file transfer protocol. This is also a standard that has been written down to make sure that we can transfer files in a standard way between different computers. There's also standards for internet markup. The W3 Consortium, the World Wide Web Consortium, defines these standards. And these are standards that indicate how we should display and mark up internet pages. So there's, for example, HTML, which is the Hypertext markup language. There's extended HTML, XHTML. There's CSS, the Cascade Style Sheets that define styles in a standard way for web pages. And there's XML, the Extensible Markup Language. And these are standards that are used for internet pages to be able to communicate with all types of browsers, under all types of operating system, with all kinds of computers. And if we use them during web design, we make sure that we adhere to the standards for internet markup. So this completes our section on standards and project management.